let me know. But great bit of technology to talk to you from all over the world, I gather. So that's terrific. So first, a bit about World Expeditions. We've just done a trip actually for the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. And that was a very, very successful trip, and they had about 40 people climbing Kilimanjaro. Just trying to move on to the next slide. Okay, just trying to resolve a technical issue just for a moment. Okay, here we go. So, so yes, at World Expeditions, we've been operating for 40 years. We've run many, many successful charity trips and charity challenges all around the world. So we're very excited to work with the Royal College of Pathologists on their first trip of this type, or trekking trip of this type. And we appreciate that you're going to put in a lot of hard work with your fundraising. We'll make sure that we put in a lot of hard work to make sure we're providing you with a really good, high quality challenge and experience. And Morocco, what a sensational country it is. It really is. I'm quite sure that you'll join this trip and want to join this trip and do some and have an amazing experience. So, as I say, World Expeditions, we've been around for a long, long time. We've got an enviable safety record. We use great vehicles, private vehicles, terrific local guides. Our approach to adventure travel is all about high quality, and because this is a charity trip, it's not like we're going to cut corners. We're far from it. We'll make sure that we're going to carry on going on to provide a high quality experience. We'll of course provide risk assessments to the Royal College, emergency evacuation plans, things like that, just to make you realize that behind the scenes we go to extra lengths to make sure that you're going to have a safe experience, because that is our absolute priority: safety and your personal enjoyment and well-being during the challenge. So this is something we take very seriously, and this is a perfect opportunity for first-time trekkers to be able to go away and do a challenge that's certainly going to be tough, and it might push some of you. It might be the hardest thing some of you have ever done. However, there's many of you that will, if you're fit and you're healthy, you're going to go and join the trip, and it's all about training and what you've put in before the trip that is most important. We've never ever had anyone come back from a trip going, well, I was far too fit for that trip. We might have, from time to time, have people that come back after the trip saying, well, actually, I should have done more training. So bear that in mind before undertaking this trip, and making sure that you're going to put in the time and the effort to make sure that you're fit and you're healthy. We're working with reputable operators. We also have a consultant doctor to make sure that we make sure that everybody going on the trip is suitable from a medical perspective. Our Moroccan operators based in Marrakech, a very exotic city, one of the largest cities in Morocco. They are terrific. We've worked with them for many, many years, and they've done many, many different challenges for us, some in the Sahara, some in the Atlas Mountains and climbing Toubkal, the highest peak in Morocco. And they are a trekking specialist operator, and they nothing is too much for them, and we always find that they're excellent local leaders, and their support staff are really terrifically engaging people. Their ultimate passion for their country is what really makes it a very special experience. And a little bit about responsible travel, because this is something that's very important, especially if we're going into a mountain environment. And we've won awards over the years, and just to reassure you that all of our operations try to minimize our impact on the environment. So off we go to flying from London via Casablanca into Ouarzazate, and this is a town on the eastern side of the Atlas Mountains. It's on the edge of the desert, and it's the gateway city to the desert. And as you can see, there's the itinerary running through, and apart from the first day, most days are around 5, possibly up to 6 hours per day of trekking. And just for your info, we're using Royal Air Moroccan. They're the only airline that actually fly to Ouarzazate, so there is definitely a reason why we're using them. And of course, some of you might be coming from overseas, I understand. And if you're coming from overseas, then you need to make your own way to Ouarzazate or certainly to Marrakech, and we can work out the best way for you to get across to Ouarzazate to join the trip. But if you're coming from overseas, you'd definitely be best to arrange your own flights locally with a local travel agent. So upon arrival, we've met with our guides, private transfer to our hotel, really well-maintained vehicles. As I say, safety is our #1 priority. And then onto the hotels we generally use on these particular type of charity challenges are usually around 3-star. They're comfortable. They've all got ensuite bathrooms, twin rooms. Some of them have swimming pools, and they're a good value for money option. And of course, we're all about providing the best possible experience for the best value for money, so that you can raise as much money for the good cause. So out into the desert, and if none of you have ever been to a desert area, then certainly this is a staggeringly beautiful area, and very wild and very different from perhaps other places you're used to. So 5 days of trekking, 4 to 6 hours per day. Some will find the trekking easier than others, but everyone walks at their own pace, never ever feel rushed into walking any faster than you feel confident. There is plenty of daylight during every day, and we find with some challenges like this that the group will spread out quite a lot, and we'll have to keep stopping the faster trekkers so that the slower trekkers can catch up. That's quite normal, and that's part and parcel of the way we'll operate the trips, but it's never feel pressured into going any faster than you feel comfortable. So throughout the trip, we'll be accompanied by local experienced trekking leaders. The reason why we use locals is primarily because they know their country. They are incredibly passionate about their country, and they often come from the parts where you'll be trekking, and as such they'll bring a totally different dimension to the trip than a Western leader would provide. So that's why we don't use Western leaders. We find that the local leaders, they're excellently trained. They've all got first aid training. They carry comprehensive first aid kits, and they are very, very capable people with vast amounts of experience. And many of them would have led maybe 50, 100, 200 trekking trips in their careers, if not more. And with your local guides, you'll also be assisted with other guides, and of course with your trekking crew as well. So there's going to be quite an entourage with you. So we're hoping for about 15 people in the group, and along with that will probably be at least another 10, 15 staff, depending on how many people you have on the trip. But there'll be camels, camel handlers, people to assist with camping equipment, and there's no participation on this particular trek, so you don't need to put your tents up or cook or help with food preparation or wash up. But of course, if you want to help, you're more than welcome. And we head out into this vast wilderness, and we're not in too far away from Ouarzazate, so we've got a reasonable way back to civilization if there's an emergency. But it's a very wild trekking area, and it does look like the desert, the Sahara that you would expect to see. And we'll set up camp, and there'll be dining tents and toilet tents, and we'll you'll be pretty comfortable. And if some of you have never camped before, then certainly camping on this particular trip, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised at the quality of the overall experience. The weather in October usually be warm days and cool nights, as you probably are all aware. Deserts do cool down significantly in the evening, so it's important to have a good layering system to make sure that you've got plenty of layers to keep warm at night, and of course many of you are probably walking in shirt and trousers, or even shorts and t-shirts during the day. In the desert, rain is possible, so it's also, of course, important to be prepared for all conditions. So we do recommend a rain jacket. And the scenery is quite superb, and I think most people are pleasantly surprised. And this is one of the campsites you can see, and it's a bit of an oasis. And there's the odd small Casbah along the way. And you can see the vast dunes, very spectacular. Deserts are ever changing. They're dry. You definitely want to make sure that you're well prepared. We'll certainly make sure we're well prepared. We'll be carrying plenty of water for you to drink, and of course for preparation of food. But of course, it's really important that we're self-sufficient, and our crews and guides will make sure that we're very well prepared in that respect. And there's just some images of the kind of trekking and landscape that you're likely to find on the Sahara Trek. And it's not as barren as some people expect. There is still quite a lot of vegetation and spring flowers in this particular area. So just leave you with some images there, just to sort of entice you, to make you think, wow. And remembering 4, 5, 6 hours a day walking in the sun, it's going to be reasonably tough. So I don't want to overplay it, but of course I don't want to underplay it either. The food that we're going to provide throughout the trip, I think most people come back from it going, well, I thought I was going to lose a whole load of weight, but they're staggered by what our local cooks can prepare. It's beautiful combination of local traditional food with some Western food, plenty of carbohydrates, protein to give you the energy needed for the trek. And of course, we're providing all meals throughout the trekking process. Our staff are all well trained to make sure that they're providing hygienically prepared food, which of course is really important. It'll be local Bedouin bread or Berber bread, and plenty of tea. And it'll be a very sort of enriching experience with some fabulous food. And here you go. some of the salads there. Moroccan food is always incredibly well presented, and there's more salads, and always safe salads, always prepared in drinking water. And tagines. Now this is the local delicacy, cooked in clay pots, and either with meat or vegetables or combination of both. And tagines are stunning, really beautiful food. And of course tea, mint tea. So the camp setup, there you can see that people will be sat out in the evening, mattresses to sit on, big dining tent where we'd be probably cooking. If the weather conditions worsened, we could always go inside the dining tent. And there's an example of a tent. They're usually 3-man tents for 2 people. So you'd be twin sharing in the tents. They're perfectly adequate for the kind of terrain we'll be undertaking or meeting on this particular trek. And there's a toilet tent. So we've got the full services. Yep, it's not quite westernized toilets, as you can imagine, in the wilderness, and there's no showers on the trek either, but we'll provide you with warm washing water in the mornings, so you can have a bit of a wash up before you set off, or in the evenings or in the afternoon. And then from the trek, we head back towards Marrakech, the really stunning city of southern Morocco, with fabulous restaurants. We'll have our final meal there before heading back to England or wherever we're heading back to. And there's an example of the hotel we're using. Swimming pool. Really lovely, small hotel, well located in a very good, secure part of town as well. There's part of the main mosque. Jem El Fanar, the main square, and the magnificent souks of Marrakech. It really is quite a stunning city. I've spent about 3 or 4 days there, and I could easily have spent a week or more there. It's a fascinating city. And there's the souk. Spice markets, magnificent. Be able to bring back sort of fruits, dried fruits, and nuts, and spices, and all sorts of wonderful delicacies. And that's probably one of the restaurants we'd have chosen for a final night extravaganza before heading home. So a little bit more about the nitty-gritty, because a lot of people are they know roughly what they're letting themselves in for, but when it comes to enjoying a trekking trip, there's a few things to bear in mind, and there's a certain amount of responsibility you need to take for yourself in terms of sun and protecting yourself from the sun, making sure you don't get burnt, making sure you've got good, well-fitting boots so that you've got comfortable boots to make sure that your feet don't get blistered or get painful or are painful. And of course, personal hygiene, making sure that you wash your hands regularly using gels or wet wipes. Things like that can be a great way to keep healthy throughout a trek. But of course, be prepared for all weather conditions. Even though it's unlikely to rain, it could, and it does from time to time. So it's very important to be well prepared. So during the trek, what you carry is things you need for the day. So we would suggest a day pack about 35 litres. Some might say 25 to 30 is adequate, but personally I prefer one that's around 35 litres, a little bit more space for bulky items. You'll need to carry your waterproof jacket, sun protection, water of course, and that we'd recommend 2 1-litre bottles. hand wash and gel, just to make sure you're keeping healthy. Walking poles are very useful, not essential, but we're starting to find that more and more people are using walking poles. Something just in case it cools down during the day, and your snacks, camera, and when you're walking, generally be walking in sort of thin walking type trousers, certainly not jeans or anything like that. You can get very quick drying clothing now, which is terrific. T-shirts, so you can get man-made trekking shirts, which are they're a little bit they're quicker drying than cotton, especially if you've got a backpack on. Your back tends to get quite sweaty, so the quick drying man-made fibers that for shirts are well worth investing in. But on the whole, throughout this trip, you don't need to buy an awful lot of very expensive equipment. You certainly, all you need is a bag or a backpack or a duffel bag of some description, a sports bag. Anything that you've got would probably be suitable. That's something that'll be carried by the camels, so we prefer a soft bag rather than a hard wheelie suitcase, which as you can imagine is not the easiest item for a camel to carry. So soft bags are the best. In that will be your spare clothes, things that you're going to need through the evening. You're not going to. It's not a fashion parade, so most people won't have totally a change of clothes for every day. When you're trekking in the wilderness, it's you've got to be practical and sort of think, right, okay, 2 or 3 or 4 shirts for a 5-day trek would be ample. Certainly something for the evenings, like a warm fleece, toiletries, towel, the list goes on. 3-season sleeping bag. Now that's important, and you can hopefully it doesn't have to be a down bag. It can be a man-made fiber bag. They generally quite reasonably priced. We'll provide you with a sleeping mat in the tent, so the only thing you need to provide from a sleeping perspective is your sleeping bag. And of course, a head torch is always useful, and that's not an all-encompassing list. There is in the pre-departure information that we'll provide, we'll have a much more in-depth gear list, but that's sort of more of an overview of what you might need to take. But the most important thing are your boots. If you're going to spend a bit of money on some equipment, then certainly think about your boots. As soon as you book, get your boots. Don't wait until 2 or 3 weeks before the trip to buy your boots. A well worn in pair of boots should fit like a glove, and that's really important. And good quality trekking socks again is a really important item, rather than using sort of day socks or work socks. They certainly you can get some very good quality Bridgedale sort of wool mix socks that are perfect for trekking. Boots with a good sole, good solid sole, so that the boot doesn't twist on loose ground. Most of the terrain on this particular trek is sandy. There will be some loose sort of rocks, but most of the time it'll be sand. The trails are fairly easy to pass as well. There's nothing too difficult in terms of terrain to cross. So if you're an inexperienced walker, then certainly this is a good first time trip. So there's just a few bits of nitty-gritty. We need to make sure you've all got insurance, and we can provide that if you'd like, £29 for British residents or UK residents. Passport, make sure it's got plenty of validity on it. Vaccinations, there's nothing specific that you require, but the best place to go is to the NHS Fit for Travel website, and that will provide you with great detail about things that you should consider when traveling to Morocco. Money, you could, for a trip of this nature, you'd probably be best off bringing pounds. 150 pounds should be ample. Tipping is a big part of Moroccan culture, so we do suggest that you tip the crew, and a modest 25 pounds per person on the trek would be put into a pool and split amongst the trekking crew. Being a Muslim country, you want to make sure that you're dressing appropriately and with respect, and making sure that you're not upsetting anybody locally, and that's particularly covering up sort of long trousers rather than short shorts, long shirts, things like that. But Morocco is a fairly moderate country, but it's always good to be mindful of those things. And if you're taking photos of people, make sure you ask. Again, giving gifts to local people, we don't tend to recommend that. Better off giving to an institution or like a school or a medical center or something like that, rather than giving to individuals. And just making sure that if you're going into a mosque, making sure you're showing the right religious protocol, and removing your shoes, things like that. Everyone before they go must be in really good peak condition. Make sure that they're not carrying any pre-existing medical conditions that could be relevant to us. We will need to know what when you make a booking, if you've got any pre-existing medical conditions. Certainly we need to be informed about those things so we don't get any surprises. But that, in a nutshell, is the trip. It's a fabulous trip. I'm hoping that many of you will wish to join us now. It's a great opportunity to meet some of your fellow professionals as well, in a different type of environment than in the work environment. Where better to do it than in a fabulous and exotic location such as Morocco and in the Sahara. So yeah, has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask?